Mr. Verhofstadt. Can I first of all ask, how successful do you think you've been so far in these negotiations?
Well, from the withdrawal agreement, more or less 80% has been agreed on.
So my question is, how successful do you feel your side has been in getting concessions, etc.? You know, if you were to mark yourself, how well do you think you've performed?
I'm not directly negotiating, so I'm in the best position to judge that. So, so 80% of the withdrawal agreement this morning. Yesterday, they announced 7 additional agreements on 7 more specific technical issues that make part of the withdrawal agreement, and then. We need really to start about the future relationship, and there we have really to start the discussion after we think the publication of the new white paper by the British government.
But as chair of the European Parliament Brexit Steering Group, how successful?
It doesn't go fast enough for us. That's clear, and we have still outstanding issues, as I already indicated, on citizens' rights. That we have tried to solve, we really not entered until at this moment into the negotiations on this future relationship. So it goes slow. That's the reality, because we need to deliver a declaration on the. A political declaration on the future relationship, within now, how many months? 3 months? 4 months?
Can I, 50% of the committee in front of you today are Scottish. Can I ask, is your memory of what you've said about Scotland better this afternoon than it was this morning?
What do you mean?
Well, this morning you said you couldn't remember saying something, where it was said, or remembering tweeting about the possibility of Scotland, should it ever become independent, rejoining the European Union.
I've said this morning that we are not involved in the constitutional discussion.
But you didn't say that in February 2017 when you said it was a perfectly acceptable possibility. You didn't say that on the 24th of June 2016 when you tweeted that it's wrong that Scotland may be taken out of the EU when it voted to stay, happy to discuss with Nicola Sturgeon. What I did. Yeah. So you were happy to discuss that with Nicola Sturgeon, but you then said today that you would never ask a negotiator or coordinator for the European Parliament to intervene in the institutional setup of any countries involved in this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So in those discussions that you had with Nicola Sturgeon, you didn't feel you were intervening in any way?
If Mrs. Sturgeon wanted to discuss with me the fact that the majority of the people...
Sorry, that tweet I was quoting was you saying you would be happy to discuss with Nicola Sturgeon.
Yeah, well, and what I did. So I got this meeting with her, where she explained that a majority of the Scottish people is not in favour to leave the European Union, and that she hopes for a solution where the outcome of the referendum can be in accordance with the wish to stay in the single market and into the customs union, because that's the main proposal from the paper that the Scottish authorities have published. And that's still an option. That's still an option if that from the British side they want to go in that direction, and we can find solutions for the freedom of movement of people. That is still that could work. So what I have said is in several occasions. Is that I will not intervene in the constitutional order we as Europeans have not intervened in the constitutional order of Britain, saying, oh yeah, solve your problem by exploding your United Kingdom. That we will not do. That's not our task.
I like your language about exploding the United Kingdom if we were to vote for independence, but you did say in September 2016, if Scotland decides to leave the UK to be an independent state and they decide to be part of the EU, I think there is no big obstacle to do that. Do you not? Do you still support that?
Well, that's a fact. That's a simple fact, but that's not.
You don't think it's an obstacle for them to simply rejoin?
I think that the problem is not that for the moment. The problem is how we can find a close relationship between the UK and the EU, during that discussion, we will not do anything that is an interference in the constitutional order of the UK. That we're going to avoid absolutely. That's not our task.
Okay, thank you. What does the European Union get as by way of a benefit from the United Kingdom being part of the European arrest warrant?
The European arrest warrant is mainly, in my opinion, I remember that very well because I was the chair of the European Council when we have taken the decision for the European arrest warrant. It was the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, and then we decided to have the European arrest warrant, which was in fact a project that was on the table for a long time. And finally we got an agreement on this in 2002, was formalized in 2004, after a long transition period until 2014 for the Italians, because Italy only entered in 2014. It makes it far more easier, I think, for the authorities compared to the old style extradition arrangements we got. And it's a system that is fully embedded in European law under the oversight of the European Court of Justice. So I think it's one of the successes of the European Union. There are also a lot of failures of the European Union, but this is maybe a good thing of the European Union.
So do you think it would be dangerous if Michel Barnier gets his way and United Kingdom are not allowed to remain part of the European arrest warrant?
That is impossible because the European arrest warrant is a European arrest warrant for European countries. You go out of the European Union. And secondly, it's, like I said, also under the umbrella and oversight of the European Court of Justice, what the UK government cannot accept. So what we are looking for, and that I have indicated yesterday in an intervention before the agency, Human Rights Agency in Vienna, and I have also a copy, Mr. Cooper, for the members here.
We have a copy.
Or you have it already, so
we're well prepared.
Modern times goes fast. What we have proposed is, we need at least an extradition agreement with Britain that is in substance as flexible as possible and takes over as much of the elements of the European arrest warrant. For example, shortening the periods, because in an extradition agreement, periods can be long, months and months and months. So with shortened periods, with more flexible conditions in it, so that we not copy naturally the European arrest warrant, but that we have a system in place between the EU and UK, even when it is not the European arrest warrant, has at least is a flexible, useful and effective instrument. And that's not only the case for the European arrest warrant, that's also the case for the cooperation Europol, for the cooperation with Eurojust, for the cooperation and the sharing of information in databases. We will, for every of these elements, need to find a way forward, or if it is not because of the exit, or because of the Brexit, where we, with imagination, I should say, we create a system with UK that has become a third country that doesn't lower the tools and the mechanism and the instruments we have today in the fight against terrorism, in the fight against...
But given how important you said the European arrest warrant is to the European Union, do you not think a lot of the benefits that are currently shared across the EU could continue to be shared with the UK's involvement with the internal security treaty that's been suggested by the UK government?
Yeah, we shall share it, but based not on a participation, for example, in databases, but on a reciprocal exchange of information that exists already between the European Union and a number of other states. So we are looking for...
But the UK is slightly different, given that it's got that set up at the moment. It is, as the UK government said in response yesterday, the United Kingdom starts from a unique position of complete alignment, which other countries didn't start off like that.
Yeah, well, I have to put a little bit more what you are saying. There are a number of policies and institutions where Britain has an opt-out, is not participating. So I was very surprised when the UK government published his proposals on internal security to see that on a number of issues where the UK is not in these policies, they now propose to come in these policies. And so you go out of the Union, You are not in a number of policies on justice and home affairs, not because you have chosen for an opt-out. You go out of the union and you say, yeah, now we want to come in. So the logic of this escapes me completely, that you are not in a number, you have an opt-out for a number of policies in the justice and home affairs area. You go out as a member of the European Union and you want to come in these matters. And so what we try to do is not to have an ideological discussion. What we try to do is on every of these important instruments of internal security, be it sharing of information in databases, be it Europol, be it Eurojust, be it European arrest warrant, be it whatever other instrument for internal security, try to find within the legal framework the closest cooperation as possible between the EU and UK. But you cannot say, okay, everything has to be exactly the same, plus a number of policies where you have never participated in it in the past. That is a little bit strange, and is also not possible. So yesterday, Mr. Barnier has done the same thing. He, in the name of the Commission, I, in the name of the Parliament, we have tried to make a list of how we see this future cooperation the closest as possible between the EU and the UK, taking into account the legal framework that we have.
Can I just finally ask a little about free movement, which we've discussed, but from a European Parliament's point of view and representatives who are sent here and otherwise, do you accept that there is an appetite to have reform of free movement across the EU? It was a major issue in the referendum here, clearly in the United Kingdom, but since then, do you think there has been an increase in the appetite amongst other countries in the EU to see reforms to free movement?
No, certainly not when we link that problem to the internal market. The problem has never been a big discussion, in fact, on the continent, may I say. In Britain is different.
You don't think it's increasing, though?
No, well, there is a problem of another problem that is more preoccupying for the moment, as migration coming from outside the European Union. And there you see a huge challenge. The Union need to manage that, and until now, let's be honest, was not very convincing in the way they managed it, and that the management of the external border is not fully satisfying. Let's be honest, because it didn't exist even in the past. And we started with Schengen without an external border management. It's quite strange to start by abolishing your borders inside an area when you don't have a common management of your external border. We don't have an appropriate asylum system that is credible, because it's still the Dublin system, and that's not the European system. That's the negation of the European system, because you put all the burden on the countries of entrance. We have not taken full or responsibility for those people who want to refugee or to come to Europe, and we like more to make deals with Turkey or Libya or to outsourcing our problems. And on legal migration, we have not a consistent European system that works. We have a patchwork of 28 national system, and on top of that we have the blue card, which is in fact an additional system that is not replacing the national systems of economic migration. So we have been very, very unsuccessful, let's be very honest about it, in tackling the problem of migration from outside European Union. But inside, the labour mobility has not been a major source of problems of criticism. Because everybody in the continent understands that when you're talking about the single market, that it cannot only be the freedom of movement of goods or services of capital, but that it needs to also be the freedom of movement of people. Because there are some countries in a single market who are specialized in goods. So they have an advantage of the single market with their goods. Some countries are specialized in services. I think that we are here in the center, in the capital of a country that is specialized, that has a huge advantage in service. Like other countries, have an advantage as country in the single market because of their workforce. And if you want to take out one of these elements, you destroy, in fact, the concept itself of the single market. Single market is not only a question of capital or services or goods or people, it's and capital and goods and service and people, or four, because the situations are different in this single market. And that has never, in my opinion, there has been tensions naturally. There are also people complaining, certainly in Belgium, in the Netherlands and in France, that there is a Polish construction worker working in Paris or in Brussels, but that has never, the people, public opinions in general, see the overall advantage of the concept of the single market and don't want to destroy it. But they have a lot of problems with the migration from outside the European Union. And I wanted to make that difference.
And
mobility and migration.
But we are short of time, so just to get it crystal clear, you don't anticipate any reforms to free movement coming forward anytime soon, because you think
on free movement, no, I think that
Thank you.
that is under pressure.
Tim